You think your thoughts are yours, right? What if they're not? Right now, your mind is tricking you, shaping your beliefs, fears, and choices without you even realizing it. But once you see the illusion, you can't unsee it. So stay until the end, because what you're about to hear might change everything. Section 1. The Silent Puppet Master: How Your Mind Controls You Without You Realizing. Your thoughts, your emotions, your reactions, everything you do, you assume it's a conscious choice. You wake up, check your phone, brush your teeth, drink coffee, and start your day. It feels like you are in control. But let me ask you something. When was the last time you made a truly conscious decision? Not a habit, not an impulse, not something automatic, but a moment where you stopped and said, "Wait, do I really want to do this?" Chances are most of your actions are not conscious at all. Studies show that over 90% of your daily actions are driven by subconscious programming, meaning you're running on autopilot. Think about that. Almost everything you do, your emotions, your reactions, the way you speak, the way you move, is being decided before you even think about it. Your brain is not your enemy, but it is a control system. It creates patterns to make your life easier. If it didn't, you'd have to consciously think about how to walk, how to breathe, how to talk, every single second. That would be exhausting. So your brain learns shortcuts. It memorizes how you react to stress, how you speak, what you believe about yourself, and then it repeats those patterns automatically. Sounds helpful, right? Well, here's the problem. If those patterns are negative, if they're based on fear, self-doubt, or limiting beliefs, then your brain will keep repeating them without you realizing it. Your mind doesn't care about what's true. It only cares about what's familiar. And that's why people stay stuck. They repeat the same mistakes, feel the same emotions, react the same way, because their mind has trained them to do so. This is how the illusion forms. You think you're making choices. You think you're in control. But really, your mind is making decisions for you, until you wake up and see it happening. Section 2. The Thought Loop Trap. You ever notice how you keep worrying about the same things? Maybe it's self-doubt. Maybe it's overanalyzing past mistakes. Maybe it's fear about the future. It's not a coincidence. Your brain has a built-in survival mechanism that's designed to focus on problems, not solutions. In ancient times, this kept us alive. Your brain would say, that plant is poisonous, that animal is dangerous, that cave is safe. But in modern life, that same mechanism causes you to obsess over negative thoughts. You overthink past conversations. You stress about things you can't control. You create worst-case scenarios in your mind. Why? Because your brain is addicted to thinking about problems. And here's where the illusion gets deeper. The more you think a thought, the more real it feels. Your brain doesn't care if a thought is true or false. It only cares about repetition. The more times a thought is repeated, the more automatic it becomes. This is how negative beliefs become your reality. For example, if you keep thinking, "I'm not good enough," your brain accepts it as a fact. If you keep telling yourself, "I always fail," your brain seeks proof to confirm it. If you constantly worry about being judged, your brain filters reality to highlight those moments. Your mind is literally programming your perception. And unless you become aware of this loop, you will continue believing the illusion. Section 3. The Attention Hijack: How Your Mind Decides What You Notice and What You Don't. Look around you right now. Seriously, stop for a second and just observe your surroundings. Now ask yourself, why didn't you notice those things a few seconds ago? It's because your brain filters out most of reality. At any given moment, there are millions of pieces of information your brain could be processing. The sounds around you, the sensations in your body, the colors in your environment. But your brain ignores almost all of it. Why? Because it prioritizes what it thinks is important. Here's where it gets interesting. Your brain doesn't just do this with sights and sounds. It does this with beliefs. If you believe, "The world is dangerous," you'll only notice threats. "People don't like me," your brain will only focus on negative social interactions. "I'll never be successful," your mind will filter reality to match that belief. This is why people get stuck in cycles. They don't see the opportunities, the possibilities, or the good in life, because their mind doesn't let them. This is the true nature of the illusion. And once you see it, you can start choosing what you focus on. Section 4. The illusion of free will. Are your choices even yours? If you're being honest, do you ever feel like your life is just repeating itself? Same routines, same struggles, same mistakes. It's like you're on a script you didn't write. But what if I told you that's exactly what's happening? Neuroscientists have discovered that your brain makes decisions before you're even aware of them. That means when you think you're choosing something, your subconscious has already decided for you. What's even crazier? The patterns that control your decisions aren't even yours. They were programmed by society, your past experiences, the beliefs of people around you. You're not just repeating old habits, you're repeating someone else's story. Unless you wake up and take control of the script. Section 5. How to escape the mind trap and finally see reality clearly. So how do you break free? How do you stop living under an illusion? It starts with awareness. Here's what you can do right now. Interrupt the loops. When a negative thought comes up, say, "Not this time." Break the pattern. Challenge your beliefs. Ask yourself, what if I'm wrong? Open your mind to other perspectives. Shift your focus. Stop looking for proof of failure. Start looking for proof of possibility. Take control of your reactions. Instead of reacting instantly, pause. Choose your response. Reprogram your mind. Every day, feed your brain with new thoughts, new ideas, new perspectives. Because the moment you stop blindly trusting your mind, the illusion starts to break. And that's when you start truly waking up. Section 6. Who's programming you? If you never chose your beliefs, fears, or identity, then who did? Since birth, your mind has been shaped by external forces, without your permission. Your thoughts, behaviors, and values weren't formed in isolation. They were installed into you through repetition, authority, and societal expectations. Media feeds you fear. Every day the news tells you what's important, what's dangerous, and what you should be outraged about. Education teaches obedience, not thinking. You were never trained to question reality, only to memorize and repeat what you were told. Culture dictates what's acceptable. Without realizing it, you adopt beliefs based on where you were born and who raised you. And what happens when your mind is programmed? You live on autopilot. You accept things as just the way it is. You never stop to ask, is this belief actually mine? Or was it planted in me? Think about it. If you grew up in a different country, in a different family, surrounded by different influences, would you still believe the same things you do now? Probably not. That's proof that most of your thoughts, fears, and desires aren't actually yours. They were programmed into you. And if you don't become aware of this, you'll spend your whole life living inside a reality you never chose. The scariest part? The system is so effective that you'll defend the very beliefs that are controlling you. That's how deep the illusion runs. Section 7. Who owns your focus? Your mind is like a flashlight. Wherever you point it, that becomes your reality. But what happens when someone else is controlling where you look? Right now, billion-dollar industries exist for one reason: to steal your attention. Social media is designed to keep you scrolling. Every like, every notification, every algorithm-driven video keeps you trapped in an endless loop. News outlets don't inform you. They manipulate your emotions to keep you outraged, because fear equals views. Advertising hijacks your desires. You're constantly bombarded with messages telling you what you need to be happy, successful, or attractive. They don't need to physically control you. They just need to control your focus. If they decide what you pay attention to, they decide what you think about. Ever noticed how time disappears when you're on certain apps? That's not an accident. Your mind is being conditioned to become addicted to distractions, so you never have the time or clarity to question deeper things. And here's the worst part: your brain is rewarding you for it. Every scroll, every click, every notification releases dopamine, the same chemical associated with drug addiction. Your focus isn't just being stolen, it's being rewired. Most people never escape this cycle because they don't even realize they're trapped in it. The solution? Take control of your focus before someone else does. If you don't consciously decide what you give your attention to, the world will decide for you. And once they control your focus, they control you. Section 8. Is your fear real? Fear is one of the most powerful illusions your mind creates. It feels real. It feels urgent. But most of your fears aren't even real threats. Fear was designed for survival. It once helped us avoid real danger, wild animals, starvation, enemy attacks. But today, that same survival mechanism is triggered by things that won't actually harm you. Speaking your mind feels like a threat. Your brain reacts as if rejection is a life or death situation. Failing at something feels dangerous. But in reality, failure is just feedback, not a fatal outcome. Taking risks feels overwhelming. Even if the worst-case scenario isn't that bad, your mind exaggerates it to keep you safe. But here's what your brain doesn't want you to realize. Fear isn't reality. It's a reflex. Every time you feel fear, ask yourself, what's the actual consequence of doing this? Most of the time, the answer is nothing significant. Yet your mind keeps you stuck in the illusion of fear because it's easier than facing the unknown. And this is why most people never change. They stay in the same job, the same habits, the same routines. Not because they're happy, but because fear convinces them that change is risky. But the biggest risk? Staying trapped in a life you don't want. Because here's the truth. Growth isn't dangerous. Taking a chance isn't dangerous. What's truly dangerous is never breaking free from your mental prison. Section 9. Who are you, really? If you were asked, who are you? What would you say? Your name? Your job? Your personality traits? But what if I told you, none of those things are really you? Your identity is not fixed. It's a story your mind created based on past experiences. If you failed in the past, your mind labels you as a failure. If you were shy growing up, your mind tells you you're a shy person. If someone told you you weren't good at something, your mind locks that in as a fact. But here's what nobody tells you. These labels aren't real. You weren't born believing you were bad at math, afraid of public speaking, or incapable of success. You learned those things, and what is learned can be unlearned. The problem is, your mind hates uncertainty. It would rather keep you inside an old, limiting identity than allow you to change. That's why people stay stuck. Not because they can't grow, but because their brain convinces them that they can't. But the truth? You are not your past. You are not your habits. You are not the identity your mind created. You can rewrite the script. But first you have to see that it's just a script. Section 10. The only way out. So, if your thoughts aren't truly yours, if your focus is being hijacked, if your fears are illusions, if your identity is just a story, then what's real? The only thing that's real is this moment. Not the past, that's just a memory. Not the future, that's just a projection. Right now is the only thing that exists, and the only thing you can control is what you do next. Because once you see the illusion, you can't unsee it. The question is, now that you know, what are you going to do? Section 11. The emotional illusion. How your feelings are manipulated without you realizing. Most people assume that their emotions reflect reality. If they feel something strongly, it must be true. But here's what nobody tells you. Emotions are not facts. They are responses. Automatic reactions based on past experiences, societal conditioning, and subconscious programming. Ever wondered why some people overreact to small things while others remain calm in extreme situations? It's not about the event itself. It's about how their mind has been conditioned to respond. Anger isn't always justified. Sometimes it's just an old habit of reacting when we feel threatened. Sadness isn't always real grief. Sometimes it's the mind reliving an old memory and tricking you into feeling it again. Fear isn't always rational. Sometimes it's just a defense mechanism trying to keep you in your comfort zone. Your emotions aren't always telling you the truth. They're telling you what your brain has learned to feel. The problem? If you blindly trust every emotion, you'll be controlled by them. But the moment you start questioning, why am I feeling this, instead of just reacting, you start breaking free. Because once you separate emotions from truth, your mind loses control over you. Section 12. The final illusion. What happens when you wake up? So if your thoughts aren't truly yours, if your focus is being hijacked, if your emotions are manipulating you, if your fears are illusions, if your memories are unreliable, then what's left? The truth is, everything you think you know about yourself is just a collection of programs. The only thing that's real is your awareness of this moment, this second, right now. And the only thing you can control is what you do next. Most people never wake up from this illusion. They continue reacting, obeying, following patterns, never realizing they are being controlled. But you? Now you see it. And once you see it, you can't unsee it. So the real question is, what are you going to do with this awareness? Because the moment you take back control, the illusion falls apart completely. And that's when life really begins. Now that you see the illusion, the question is, will you wake up or go back to sleep? Most people see the truth but stay stuck, but not you. If this resonated, leave a comment, hit like, and watch the next video on your screen. Because once you start seeing the illusion, you'll never see life the same way again. Your awakening starts now. Click the next video. Let's go deeper.